God, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not actually this shiny in real life. I don't know, is these lights making it look like I'm like extra shiny for some reason? Anyway, we're not talking about how shiny I am today. Today we're going to be talking about a topic I've discussed in a little bit of detail before. In my Behind the Beauty video about Drunk Elephant, I very briefly mentioned that they kind of got themselves embroiled into a lawsuit, a patent lawsuit actually. Patent lawsuit with beauty giant L'Oreal. And this was a major case at the time, so I felt like it deserved its own video. And this really did have a huge impact on Drunk Elephant's image and the formulation of the offending product. So today I want to discuss what happened between the two brands in a bit more depth. Were L'Oreal in the right to call out Drunk Elephant, or was it just another case of L'Oreal throwing their weight around the beauty world? L'Oreal aren't strangers to legal issues, and with a long history of lawsuits and scandals, they are arguably one of the most controversial beauty brands still going to this day somehow. But Drunk Elephant has also seen more than their fair share of legal issues. So today I'll also be talking about some of the more recent issues both brands have had. We won't be discussing Sephora Kids, it's okay, and discussing why lawsuits seem to be becoming as regular as product releases for some of these brands. A bit of background into this lawsuit. So when Drunk Elephant launched their C-Firma Day Serum, it quickly became one of their most popular products. It kind of became a bit like an icon within the skincare world. It was extremely highly praised. It won multiple awards, and it was a pretty immediate success with consumers, both huge fans of the brands and people who are new to the brand. It was a lot of people's gateway into Drunk Elephant, and before long, it was arguably their best-selling and most recognizable product. The success of the C-Firma Day Serum created a lot of buzz and brought the brand a lot of attention, but unfortunately for Drunk Elephant, not all that attention was good. The issue started for them in September of 2018 when L'Oreal's lawyers contacted Drunk Elephant to notify them that the C-Firma Day Serum was in breach of one of L'Oreal's patents, and they demanded that Drunk Elephant cease the sale of the C-Firma Day Serum immediately. Drunk Elephant actually chose to ignore this warning pretty much and continue to market the product heavily and rack up sales. And just 2 months later, having realized that Drunk Elephant had no intention of ceasing sales of the C-Firma, L'Oreal chose to begin legal proceedings. Speaking about the lawsuit, a spokesperson for L'Oreal said, "We believe that the scientific inventions that make our products so innovative are a strategic and competitive advantage, and we are committed to protecting our valuable intellectual property." So why are they suing them? Hang on, so they released a vitamin C serum. Every brand has a fucking vitamin C serum, right? Every single brand. However, when we look at the lawsuit claims that Drunk Elephant's C-Firma Day Serum infringed on L'Oreal's US patent number, I'm going to say 7179841, which was issued in 2007. The patent covers a stabilized ascorbic acid composition, specifically formulations combining vitamin C, ascorbic acid, vitamin E, and ferulic acid. Specifically, L'Oreal alleged that Drunk Elephant's C-Firma Day Serum copied the patented technology used in SkinCeuticals' CE Ferulic Vitamin C Serum. And in case you are unaware, SkinCeuticals is one of the many brands owned by L'Oreal, which is why they had an issue with this. Now, the patented technology they used in the SkinCeuticals serum was used to stabilize ascorbic acid in combination with ferulic acid and vitamin E to enhance its photoprotective and anti-aging properties. And whatever new technology they'd used, it seemed to be working, as the CE Ferulic serum was widely regarded as one of the best, if not the best type of product of its type on the market. But the launch of Drunk Elephant's C-Firma Serum saw a lot of skincare consumers and professionals talking about how the new product was a more affordable but still effective alternative to SkinCeuticals' CE Ferulic Serum, which is not cheap. It's about $166 for 30 milliliters or 1 fluid ounce. So it's no wonder that L'Oreal were keen to stop what they considered another dupe of one of their more successful products. Now, as part of the lawsuit, L'Oreal actually requested that a permanent injunction be put in place to prevent Drunk Elephant from selling the infringing product. They also asked for financial damages, including legal costs as well as compensation for loss of profits. Drunk Elephant denied L'Oreal's allegations and filed counterclaims, which included arguing that L'Oreal's patent was invalid and claiming that the technology lacked novelty or was clearly based on prior art. So they were like, this isn't original, it's just a load of ingredients you shove together. Like, you can't, this isn't yours. Drunk Elephant also tried to get out of it by claiming that L'Oreal had engaged in misconduct during the patent application process by failing to disclose relevant prior patents to the US Patent and Trademark Office, and therefore the patent was unenforceable, sorry. So L'Oreal hadn't done things by the book, so Drunk Elephant were like, it doesn't count, this doesn't count. This defense didn't work for Drunk Elephant though, as in November of 2019, the court dismissed their claim that L'Oreal had intentionally withheld prior patents, finding insufficient evidence to support these allegations. Is the way I flip from patent to patent annoying anyone? It's annoying me slightly. After this massive blow to their defense, Drunk Elephant seemed to start to realize that things weren't going to go their way. They weren't going to win in this fight. It's L'Oreal. They've got the massive lawyers, they've probably got amazing lawyers that they pay and can afford all these legal things, right? So instead, they entered into discussions with L'Oreal regarding a possible settlement outside of court. And that seems to be the way most of these cases go. A lot of these cases are settled outside of court and we never kind of get what happened? What happened? We never really know the ending, the conclusion, if you will. The case was still ongoing, but the focus of both brands, but Drunk Elephant in particular, appeared to have shifted to finding like a mutually agreeable deal, right? Rather than risk a court decision. Then finally, in October of 2020, 2 years after the lawsuit started, L'Oreal and Drunk Elephant reached a settlement agreement and agreed to dismiss the lawsuit. According to the court documents, the two parties advised the court that they had agreed to dismiss all claims against Drunk Elephant in this matter with prejudice and all counterclaims against L'Oreal in this matter without prejudice, with each party to bear its own cost, attorney fees, and expenses. So, hang on. So outside of those specifics, the terms of the settlement were not disclosed to the public. But seeing as Drunk Elephant were allowed to continue selling the C-Firma Day Serum, many believe that the settlement was likely involving some kind of like licensing agreement, which required Drunk Elephant to basically pay L'Oreal for the privilege of selling the product in the first place. And some believe that either there was an agreement that Drunk Elephant would start working on a new formulation, which was more significantly different from SkinCeuticals' CE Ferulic serum, or that Drunk Elephant had decided to work on a new formula themselves so that they didn't have to keep paying L'Oreal. Whatever the reasons for it. A whole lot of drama for nothing. Drunk Elephant launched a reformulated version of the product called C-Firma Fresh in 2022. And this version requires consumers to mix the product themselves before use, which some believe may have been a way of like sidestepping the patent infringement. And this kind of lawsuit seems to be becoming like more and more common these days, to be honest with you, though it's no surprise considering the competitive nature of the beauty industry with so much money on the line. Proprietary formulations and innovations are highly valued, especially when everyone is trying to release their own version of the same thing, you know? And duping culture has been as popular as it is in the skincare world, the beauty world in general, makeup, everything. Everybody wants their own version of something that's popular. The global beauty industry globally is expected to generate more than $700 billion in 2025. That means some brands are more willing to take the risk of legal issues in order to get into the market and take a share of those billions. And it also means that companies who believe their products or formulations have been copied are also more likely to file a lawsuit. There's just so much money at stake here, right? And so much brand reputation. So after that bit of like a letdown, not a letdown, I'm glad they settled it. I don't really care, to be honest with you. Let's take a look at some of the other lawsuits that Drunk Elephant and L'Oreal have been involved in. In fact, L'Oreal and Drunk Elephant seem to make a bit of a habit of being involved in lawsuits. And this isn't even the first time that Drunk Elephant has been sued for IP infringement, with another case going to court just a couple of years before the L'Oreal lawsuit. They must have been tired. Back in November of 2016, natural skincare manufacturer Green Heart Labs took Sephora and Drunk Elephant to court over trademark infringement. Specifically, Green Heart Labs were unhappy because they held a trademark on the product name Aha Moment, a great name that I would love to own the trademark on. Who cares? Who wants a trademark on that? That aha moment, right? The name of one of their body pill products. They believed that Drunk Elephant had infringed on their trademark when they used the same expression on one of their products. It wasn't the name of the product, but it was apparently the largest text on the packaging and was used multiple times on the front, on the back, and on the side of the product. Green Heart Labs notified both Drunk Elephant and Sephora, who carried their products in stores, of the infringement and asked them to stop. basically. Drunk Elephant failed to listen again, and Sephora also failed to stop selling the product. So Greenheart Labs took them to court. And a L'Oreal lawsuit wasn't even the only one Drunk Elephant was involved with. In 2018, they had another one. In February of that year, a class action lawsuit was filed against Drunk Elephant in New York, alleging deceptive advertising of its Shaba Complex eye serum. The plaintiff claimed that the product did not deliver the promised skin improvement benefits, despite claiming to be capable of smoothing skin roughness, improving radiance, decreasing glycation, and combating visible signs of aging. They also said that the brand used deceptive advertising and marketing practices to mislead the public into spending a premium on a product which was almost twice as expensive as other comparable products, despite none of their claims regarding the product's effectiveness actually being true. That's a very common lawsuit, to be fair. I don't like Drunk Elephant, but saying that a product is ineffective is kind of just down to your skin. Yes, they use marketing fluff, but just because a product doesn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work for other people. But that seems to be a common lawsuit nowadays. Americans love suing, don't they? More recently, Drunk Elephant received multiple 60-day notices of violation under California's Proposition 65, which mandates warnings about products containing chemicals known to cause cancer or reproductive harm. The notices allege that certain Drunk Elephant products contained diethylamine DEA, a chemical listed as a carcinogen. They received 2 notices in December 2024 alleging that their bronzing drops with peptides and their B-Hydra intensive hydrating serum contained DEA, but did not have the proper warning labels that should have been provided to consumers. These notices are given to inform a company that someone intends to sue them for violating California's Proposition 65. So we'll see how that progresses in the near future as the 60-day notices comes to an end on February the 12th of 2025. When it comes to stuff like that, it's like this whole benzene thing, right? It's usually like, it's the kind of shit that Drunk Elephant would usually avoid, but it's usually things that like these clean brands like, oh, we don't contain this. While DEA isn't carcinogenic itself, it's thought to kind of like interact with other ingredients, maybe certain preservatives. I'm so shiny, I keep seeing how shiny I look. Mainly other preservatives to create something called nitrosamines, which are recognized as potential carcinogens. But it's that thing again, isn't it? Dose makes the poison. It's a potential irritant, you know, whatever. However, they need to stick to the laws where the law says they can't use it, right? And I mentioned this previously just a few months ago in November of 2024, Drunk Elephant voluntarily recalled specific batches of 3 of their products due to an ingredient mix-up during production. I believe they mixed up preservatives with surfactants. So like some products didn't have any preservatives in, which when it's a clean beauty brand like Drunk Elephant, you need those preservatives in there because they are going to grow mold very, very quickly. They offered replacements and refunds. And although Drunk Elephant's legal history might not look great on paper, right? L'Oreal's is arguably even worse. Not surprised. I'm not surprised. I've already talked about some of their more notable controversies in my Behind the Beauty on L'Oreal. So if you want to hear more about their involvement in the Battencourt affair, their founders being linked to Nazis, and multiple race discrimination lawsuits they've been involved in, do go and check out that video. But L'Oreal has also been involved in plenty of legal issues more recently. The most notable of the last few years is probably the many lawsuits they're involved in regarding their hair relaxer products, which honestly I think deserves a whole video on its own. But according to these stories, recent studies have shown that potentially long-term use of chemical hair relaxer products can potentially increase the risk of uterine cancer, fertility issues, and other hormone-related health conditions. As a result, L'Oreal, who are one of the largest and most well-known makers of chemical hair straighteners, have become the main target for these lawsuits regarding these kind of products. Now, I'm just going to tell you the story here, but I will link in the description videos that actually talk about the science regarding these fears when it comes to these hair relaxers and whether they're rooted in truth, fear-mongering, or what's going on. So please do check them out. I'm just going to tell you the story and what the lawsuit involves. So it all started in October of 2022 when the first lawsuit was filed against L'Oreal regarding this issue. The plaintiff, a 28-year-old woman who had been diagnosed with uterine cancer in 2018, alleged that her cancer was caused by her regular use of L'Oreal products since the year 2000. Hair products, sorry. She also alleged that L'Oreal knew about the harmful effects of certain chemicals in their products as early as 2015, but did nothing about it. And this was a catalyst for an avalanche of lawsuits against L'Oreal and other hair care brands seeking economic damages, punitive damages, and funds for medical monitoring costs. There have been so many, in fact, that they've all been consolidated into one class action lawsuit, and as of January 2025, there were 9,819 pending cases involved in this litigation. And of course, these kind of cases often takes years and years to be settled, and in this case it isn't even expected to go to court until 2027. So we may all be waiting a very long time to see what the outcome of these issues are, but at this moment it potentially isn't looking good for L'Oreal. However, this is a common kind of lawsuit, right? We see consumers who look at an ingredient list, they Google the ingredient list, and some shitty website like the EWG will say it has harmful chemicals in, when that's not rooted in science in any way. So judging by how other lawsuits have gone, I'm not sure the plaintiffs are gonna get anything for this, because it's that whole dose makes the poison thing again, right? They will probably get a refund or a voucher. But in the meantime, things seem to be getting worse for the brand. In 2024, L'Oreal had even more class action lawsuits filed against them, this time relating to the presence of benzene in some of their acne treatments. I will link you to Lab Muffing, Dr. Michelle Wong's video all about benzene and this benzene scare. It links to a very suspicious lab who have a monetary interest in fear-mongering around benzene. So again, I'm just going to tell you the story. So the lawsuit actually affects quite a few brands, not just L'Oreal, but alleges that some of their acne treatments contains unsafe levels of benzene, potentially leading to health risks for consumers, including cancers. They claim that L'Oreal failed to disclose the presence of benzene in its products, either on labeling, packaging, or marketing materials. The lawsuit also claims that L'Oreal did not warn consumers of the risk that common acne treatment ingredient benzyl peroxide could degrade into benzene under normal storage and use conditions, and that the products in question allegedly contain benzene levels at 100 times over the FDA's conditional limit of 2 parts per million. So this study said benzyl, turns into benzene. They heated this up so strong that you would have to keep your product in an oven for benzyl peroxide to turn into unsafe benzene. Or you'd have to keep it in like a hot car on the hottest day of the year for like a couple of days, whatever. But again, in the description down below, I'll link to Dr. Wong's video. Please go watch it. Do not be worried about benzyl peroxide. As of January 2025, 6 class action lawsuits have been filed against L'Oreal and its CeraVe brand regarding this issue too. But as with the hair relaxer lawsuits, this could go on for years and years and years before we find out whether L'Oreal will be held responsible or not. This just goes to show you that obviously brands do make mistakes that are very worthy of going to court. In my When Beauty Turns Ugly series and Behind the Beauty series, we have seen examples of that. But just because there's a lawsuit, it doesn't necessarily make a product bad or wrong in any way. And like I said earlier, these kinds of legal issues seem to be getting more and more common in recent years, and L'Oreal and Drunk Elephant certainly aren't the only ones facing these problems. It seems to be a widespread issue. The sheer amount of money involved in the beauty industry seems to play a big part in why so many brands are willing to bend or break the rules. But let me know what you think in the comments. Is L'Oreal in the right here, or was Drunk Elephant unfairly targeted by the beauty giant? And why do you think these types of lawsuits become such a regular occurrence in the world of beauty? Let me know. It seems a bit petty at the end of the day. Or is it? I don't know.